Today's guest, Sandra Hendricks. She's a dynamic leader in real estate and business coaching. Currently, she serves as a business coach with Tom Ferry International. Based in Mexico City, Sandra brings over 25 years of experience spanning real estate, financial advising, and entrepreneurship. Her journey includes founding businesses in distribution and logistics, driving growth for leading brands, and guiding others to thrive outside their comfort zones. Sandra is known for her relentless passion for personal and professional growth. Her mantra, always learn, because when we change the way that we look at things, things change. She excels at developing new business areas, launching products, and elevating corporate brands through innovative marketing and public relationships. Team leading strategies is a priority for her. As business coach since 2016 and proven leader for more than 19 years at Coldwell Banker in Mexico, Sandra approach combines mindset transformation with actionable strategies. She is recognized for helping organizations and individuals unlock their potential and building lasting success. Please join me in welcoming Sandra Hendricks to the show. Well, Sandra, what a pleasure to have you here. Finally, we are together. Finally, a long wait is over. We are together. We are about to start this journey. And I'm beyond excited, beyond excited. When we came back from Italy in our trip, you and I, we had an opportunity to debrief and talk a little bit about what happened and what we learned and how was the experience. And I think that for me was a moment that when you say, let's do a podcast about this, I was like, I'm all in, let's do it. So thank you. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Miguel. The pleasure is all mine. And while working with you is always a growing experience. And combining both our views of business, of what global looks like, and how global is not an option. Global is the new normal. And because we're global to everything, not just in terms of talking Europe is there or the United States is here, but the amount of people that are moving because of various reasons around the globe. And having real estate in common, how that commonality makes it clear that now more than ever, real estate needs to be global.
And it's at times overwhelming right now with AI and everything that happens so fast. It feels like yesterday, November 22nd, 2022, OpenAI launched ChatGPT, right? But you're absolutely right. And I think the question that we will have to uncover today is w- how we're going to debunk the concept that real estate is local and what makes real estate so universal, what we learn by interacting with people of some different places in the globe.
Well,
So
real estate is universal just because of the fact that we all need a place to live. That it doesn't matter how the digital era that allows us to work from anywhere also allows us to live from anywhere. And from anywhere we live, we need a place to live. So
100%.
that's what makes real estate so universal. But also, let's consider that real estate is one of the primary sources of investment. So it's not just the stock market, it's not just the governmental funds, but also real estate. And real estate has changed so much over the last 5 years that we are looking at real estate opportunities in investment globally, because where some areas the ROI or the return on investment is booming, in some other areas, because of how the market is changing due to all of the macroeconomical pressures, the investors are also looking for those good investments in real estate. Let's talk Dubai, for example. Let's talk second home markets. Let's talk the opportunities of Airbnbs, right? Of
Right.
second homes, of rental homes, and how we are thinking about when we're digital nomads, how our homes make us money.
And you really nail it in the head, right? The human connection with an asset, with a real estate asset, right? How universal it is, right? How the perception of success is associated at times with the fact that we owned something, right? For our own benefit or what we want to occupy, like you say, but beyond that, right? And beyond borders, to invest globally. I mean, Dubai is crazy now with this a new way to buy in fractions of a property that is unattainable to some, that it becomes very possible, right? And regardless of market fluctuations that we see or technical expertise of one, we see the universality of human connection with the emotional experiences that they live, right? And how the trust is now beyond any borders or any frontiers, and is leaning on social media, is leaning on experiences of others. But you say something that I want to ask you about, and just want to elaborate, because I think Airbnb is being a concept that is in existence for such a long time, but it's under pressure right now because economic turmoil, right? What do you see that the Airbnb market will do in this global economy that we're living in?
Well, there are so many global platforms, not just Airbnb, but let's call it seasonal or temporary rentals. And those are opportunities to make money. But while there are some restrictions worldwide, there are some places that still remain untouched, right? Like in the United States, there are some restrictions for Airbnb, depending on the areas, depending on the HOAs, depending on the taxes. In most of the world, Airbnb or um, let's call it temporary rentals, it's still a boom. And we're just touching the surface, which is the United States, maybe Mexico, maybe Latin America, but Europe is an open market, and Asia, right? we
Right.
don't we don't turn to look at Asia as often as we would turn to look at maybe Europe, but fractionals have been in the market for the longest time. And fractional was a way to create wealth without having to disburse the 100% of the value of the property, but it was a shared ownership of one same property that could have all of the characteristics of a property that I used to own on my own, right? You could
Mm-hmm.
still it could still be in a fund. You could still be part of a will. You can have heirs on a fractional, right? So we're
Right.
having a lot of different combinations on what a piece of real estate can be. However,
Right.
it still remains one of the most safe or less speculative assets that we can invest on.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think we both are in the same agreement. Real estate is an amazing investment, regardless of some opinions and regardless of market turmoil, right? It
Mhm.
is time in the market for me is impossible, but being at the right time in the right place is what really makes a difference, right? So I always believe then when I see that the market is doing bad or doing great, I always have the word market. So it is a market for this. You've been a coach since 2016, and your real estate career is way beyond that time frame. An amazing leader for Coldwell Banker Mexico for over 19 years. For what I got here, and I got the pleasure to experience knowing you in a personal level. But as a coach, Sandra, as someone that deals with hundreds of agents in a yearly basis, why you think they believe, or their perception is that they have a me problem, not a we problem, that is no global, that because they are, I don't know, in Dubai or in Spain or in the US, they have a different market? What you think is that misperception of agents thinking that the problem is so unique?
I think it might be because of the laws and regulations, and sometimes because of the lack of knowledge of tapping into different markets. But I have the opportunity to work with agents worldwide, right? And I am seeing right now a lot of inclination of agents that are in specific markets to have strategic alliances with global clients, right? Because of the golden visas, because of the opportunities for to migrate, because of what tax incentives can have depending on where you buy real estate. However, we think that real estate is overall different in every country, but in every country, it has a lot of similar factors in common. Of course, we need to understand that some markets need a license to participate in the real estate market, like in some markets in Europe or definitely in the United States. We really need to understand that technology is different across. Not all markets have an MLS. That's important. Not all markets have the level of technology that the United States has, and how those um, technology opportunities connect into the real estate transaction. What I've seen is that that doesn't happen worldwide like it happens in the United States. So I also think that the real estate agent who woke up from their bed right now and said, I'm going to start working in real estate because it's easy, we need to think that about that twice, because definitely real estate is as complex to understand financially, law wise, document wise, transactionally wise, as it is to be a stockbroker. So we as real estate agents have the responsibility to be holistic, not just thinking that it's going to be easy or that one transaction will make my year, because real estate has become as complex and as regulated as has the stock market.
Oh, so you mean it's not just car, watches, and trips, and don't have a schedule? What is real estate about?
Exactly. So when we
Right.
think that it's easy, we should think twice about it being easy, because we're also dealing with a powerful factor that maybe the stock market or other investment markets don't deal with, which is the emotion, which is the need for certainty, which is the need to have a roof over our heads, and which is the need to have a roof over the heads of our families, and most importantly, to leave a legacy, right? Before, and that was not such a long time ago, just the world has changed so much. We used to think that we would buy a home and we would stay in that home forever. But the
Forever.
truth is that in the United States, a person might at least have between 7 and 9 real estate transactions in their lives.
Right. The average have moved up a little bit, but now it's every 7 years. Now we used to do our projections and predictability analysis in the lending side. We talk about every 5 years. Right now we see in 7 years, but it's just because of affordability and current market conditions and multi-generational occupancies. But absolutely, meaning the fact that we're moving in from place to place in our lifetime really makes more relevant to understand this, and that also takes us to what to me is the most important piece of this conversation today: the human factor, right? As a real estate agent, you mentioned is the emotions. We were talking about the emotional component of the transaction, the emotional factor that is not present when you are buying or selling stocks. And someone can argue and debate us on that and say that it's not true, but it's so different. The feeling of I lost money on a piece of paper that I have to move my family to another place, or I made the wrong decision, because it's the emotion. Or when my child was born, or when my mom was sheltered when she was ill. Those things are really meaningful and create a huge emotional attachment to the asset itself, because it's beyond the monetary factor that we invest into it, right? That's I say that the houses are being sold because of the kitchen and the bathrooms. Nobody says because of the ROI. It's just because how they look and make you feel, right? When you're going to spend more time. So, human capital. Let's talk a little bit about human capital because I think that's one of the things that we uncover on the challenges and the group that we were with in Sardinia, Italy, this past September, right? Um, it seems that it's more and more difficult to find good people, and scale is a big challenge. What are you seeing with the people that you work with on a daily basis in regards of scalability and a human capital?
This is the most important topic to discuss when we're building a business. Because when we're building a business, sometimes in real estate, we oversee that the fact that we're running a business and that we should run our business like a business. So, for example, with Tom Ferry, who is our head coach, we always work a business plan, and this is business planning season. But most importantly, in a lot of systems and a lot of entrepreneurial systems like the EOS, for example, talk about the importance of understanding and to have a vision. So as a business owner, and that you're going to be recruiting agents, what's your vision? What's your 10-year vision? Where do you see your business in 10 years financially, in terms of growth, in terms of bricks and mortars, right? In terms of agent count. And then we have to break down into a 5-year and into a 1-year vision. Then we have to have a mission. Why are we doing this? What is the reason for me to exist as a real estate business? And this goes straight to our values. But talking about honesty and integrity and truth, and that's the same value. But understanding the values, why are we doing this? For who are we doing this? What is the reason that we're doing this, right? Like Rory Vaden
Right.
says, behind every why, there is a who. And that all that adds up to the culture. So, culturally, what are we building and who are we bringing to the team? Because if we're going to create a team of agents that just woke up today and thought that today was the day to come into the real estate market, we're going to have a lot of churn. We're going to have to be consistently recruiting that, though we know that's part of our job description as business owners, but it's so important who we recruit because that makes or breaks not just our business, but us as a leader. So, who are we recruiting is so fundamental. What kind of experience? What kind of personality? One of my recruitment coaches used to say, do they have the 4 C's? Are they capable? Are they coachable? Do they have the character? Do they have the commitment? Because real estate is not just about sitting pretty and waiting for the lead to come and closing. It's about prospecting. It's about having a daily routine. It's about building habits. It's about building patterns. It's about doing it when we don't want to do it. And it's about building ourselves up to be that person that will be the knowledge broker.
Amazing. Well, I'm gonna add a C there, and is do they have the culture? Because I think, in my opinion, we like to believe as business owners that we have a culture and we teach the culture, and that's impossible because that goes in the intrinsic values of the one of the human being. Is do they have the same beliefs? That you will say it right. So culturally, we need to bring people that have the same culture at core. They will be adapted to a corporate culture with the same and result that we're looking for, right? uh, so that brings me to probably the last topic of today's conversation. Want to make this a valuable one, and I would love to see you and I coming and doing this more often in regards to real estate. But let's talk about AI. Yesterday we are
Yes,
talking a little bit about it,
yes.
and AI is really creating fear. It's creating opportunities, but most importantly, it's changing so fast, so rapidly that I was saying in the meeting this morning, I don't trust ChatGPT anymore. ChatGPT is just becoming dumb. I'm going to Perplexity. I'm going to other LLMs that are out there because they're giving me better results for my purpose of what I want to see as an output. So how you see AI, how you see the AI, and while we trying to keep it human, because real estate is a relationship industry, uh, how we see this AI as the center of client experience, leadership, and human capital.
Like Tom Ferry and Jason Pantana, and I even heard Tony Robbins say it, AI is not going to replace you. What's going to replace you are other agents using AI. Because what AI is a task multiplier, a force multiplier, right? And when we say, no, ChatGPT is getting dumb, I don't think ChatGPT is getting dumb. What we have is a lot of alternatives. And what we are seeing, for example, is that now the LLMs are not just being limited to their own conversation and their own chat in their platform, but they're also becoming search engines. Like Perplexity has Comet, like Google has the Google AI mode, like ChatGPT launched Atlas, and those are agentics or agent AIs in of the if in of themselves, right? And
Right.
we also need to understand what are the tasks that are we using AI for. So in real estate, it's a lot of marketing. It's a lot, for example, using Claude, which is an amazing platform for building code. You do not have to be a code expert. You just have to understand how to prompt it so that it can build wonderful newsletters, wonderful emails, systems operations and processes. But what I see it's always very important is that it's also our financial companion. The
Right.
market, we need to understand the market. And I think that the LLMs understand the market to the T.
They
So
do.
it's also the importance of being found. This day and date, when we used to search in Google, we used to use three or four specific search words, but now we go to an LLM and we pour our souls out, right?
Right.
So as agents, it's super important that we optimize ourselves, our content, that we're answering to the frequent questions, the frequent burning questions that a consumer is having in mind. Because when you go to ChatGPT, you say, who is the top agent in Naples, Florida, in this area for this type of property that has the best reviews? And we used not to Google like that, right? But
Right.
now
Right.
instead of searching, we're asking. So
Right.
it's not the fact that we just ask the day to day and that ChatGPT becomes our best friend. It's to learn how to maximize and to optimize the tasks that used to take us days. We can now simplify in minutes and create a process, create an agent. That's why they have the agentic AIs, the agent AIs, the GPTs, and all of it.
Right. And that basically goes back to the say that you mentioned that Tom Ferry and Roddy Biden and Tony Robbins say, right? Is the one who uses it is the one that's going to replace it. And I think for me the key is the word use. Is not we think it's going to do our job. We need to use it like we use the tractor when the in industrialization agriculture, right? Instead of using other tools, or how we use the cell phone when they first came out with the cell phone versus the other tools that we had at that time. Is the use of AI what it makes a difference, instead of thinking the AI is going to do it for us. It's an aggregator, it's an accelerator of results, and definitely you will say is more accurate than our memory. And I like to believe the computers have that ability to be more accurate than us if it's prompted correctly. And one needs to become an expert on AI and embrace it, right? I just think people are resistant to it and others idealize it, meaning to me as they think, oh my God, this is the best thing and they're just going to trust because ChatGPT said it. ChatGPT or any other LLM or any other AI tool for that matter will give you the output of what the input the quality of the input is the quality of the output, right? So you need to be some expert of a matter to be able to really use it in a way, or be somebody that is knowledgeable enough to get the result that you want. If not, you can learn from that because it can teach you, right? But I see benefits. And I learned a long time ago, Sandra, when I was in my beginnings in being coached by mentors and people in my early ages. They said the multi-billion-dollar companies are not cannot be built by a $10 task or $5 task, right? You need to delegate things. Is that what I see the power of these tools, right? Now we can have an assistant that answers the phone for us and books an appointment, period, not talking to people because that's our job, but just save us the time. Send an email, draft a paragraph for us. It will save us time, like with before another person. So I see just a change, as you call it, the white collar revolution, because we're going to be forced to find different ways to operate using AI. It's just moving so fast. It's overwhelming because we try to, at least in our industry, in our businesses, we're trying to stay relevant and be with the latest, but the latest of today is not the same as the latest of yesterday. It's just changing so fast, so overwhelming. So why we don't close today with something of we have a lot of value in this conversation, but something that you will let's do a tip, a nugget, a tidbit, an advice that you have today for those real estate agents or those in the real estate industry, that you will say, okay, I'm going to leave you with a call of action, and I'm going to leave you with this. What would be that this?
I would definitely say that we need to go into 2026 with a different mindset and a different helicopter view or overview of what the real estate industry is really about. Because with it changing so fast, and with the economics changing so fast, and with the world dynamics changing so fast, we really need to know where are we and where do we want to go. So having a business plan is fundamental. Taking the time to sit down and reflect on what do we want, who we are, what's our offering, what's our culture, and who do we need to move forward, because it's not building a team for the sake of building a team. It's understanding what are we building and who do we need to really fulfill that um, that business that we're building for a home buyer, right? And to get to the point that this is not a hobby, this is a full-time job, and we cannot be hobbyists in a market, in an industry that's requiring so much professionalism. It's not about saying the market is crazy, the market is dry. No, the market is fully linked to the forces of the economy and the global behavior. And like Tom says, when there's a market, we create our own market, because the real estate market lives of the cycle of life of people, right? He calls them the D's. So I give you these so that when somebody says the market is horrible, no, the market is not horrible. The market is what we make of the market. Because the D's are when you get a diploma, when you're a first-time home buyer, when you're just off of college and you don't want to live with your parents anymore. The other D is a diamond when we're getting married. The other D is a diaper when we're having a baby. And then life happens and we get divorced. And then life happens and we de-relocate. And then life happens and then we de-invest. And then life happens again and we have to downsize, declutter, and then we die. There's always a market. In 2025, there's going to be more than 4.5 million transactions in the US. Miguel, do you believe that those transactions are there?
Of course,
Do you
100%.
believe that there is money to be made?
Absolutely.
Do you believe that somebody is going to make that money?
100%.
So create a business that will go for that money and never say the market is horrible. And after every drought, there is a recovery. So let's prepare ourselves.
100%. So I'm going to leave our audience today with one tip on my end, and it's quite simple. Embrace and be grateful for the problem, because the income that you earn is directly related to the problem that you solve. So
Exactly.
if the problem is big, which we feel is big right now in this industry and this market, which is debatable, then you are facing a huge opportunity to make a lot of money by solving a big problem. The key is what you say. You have to have a business plan. You have to have a clear understanding of where you're going before you start walking. Because
Exactly.
if you don't know where you go, why are you going to start walking? Where are you going? You will have no idea. Well,
No idea.
Sandra, it is an amazing opportunity to be with you today. Thank you so much. I know we're
Thank
going
you.
to do this probably every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but let's stay tuned. Sandra, a pleasure to be here with you
Thank you,
today.
Miguel.
And,
Thank you.
and I will see you soon.
And keep in contact. Any questions, please drop them below or reach out to us. We're very reachable and we're always answering. And see you again in 2 weeks.
Thank you.